Well, good evening, everyone. This is Bob Gomes bringing you the Concerned Forum. Um, Listen, just for some quick housekeeping, um, we greatly appreciate if you would, when you see this on YouTube, if you would check the fact that you have seen us, number one, and number two, if you could add some comments, whether positive or negative. Uh, I really don't give a damn because as an American, I honestly believe that everybody has a right to their opinion. But it would help this channel if you would express yourselves and also give me an idea of how people are feeling about what the things I have to say. All right, so where are we? Okay, uh, we have an American president that literally made an ass out of himself on the world stage when he went to Davos. Okay? Now, I want people to think about this. This guy says that he was willing to acquire Greenland by force. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Well, listen, having been in the military for quite some time, I can tell you that anything that the United States wanted out of Greenland, all they had to do was ask. So I'm curious as to, why this whole, muscular flex, yeah, we're gonna, Trump says we're gonna send the Marines to Greenland. Why was that necessary? What is it that he's trying to say? And the only intelligent, uh, how should I say, realistic that this guy was trying to come up with is that the fact that he wants to help Putin destroy the Western Alliance. I mean, there's no other reason for this. Why would you do that? Since 1947, America has been able to get anything out of Greenland that it wanted. So why are you going to threaten these people with American intervention? And see, this is what bothers me. And guess what? I'm listening to the Beatles here on the off round, so in case you hear any music, that's what it's all about. But this whole thing, and see, I keep trying to explain to people, as I have been trying to do since 2015, this whole thing is about racism, okay? Now, you might ask, well, what the hell does Donald Trump and racism have to do with Greenland? Well, see, that's one of the sad things about bigotry and racism. And this culture that we now have in the American, running the American government. And that is that anytime, folks get this idea that they're superior to other human beings, this carries on. Okay? Um, you have a situation now where this whole white American nationalism BS has gotten out of control and it has spread. Okay? Trump is trying to spread it to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And unfortunately, to some point, it has succeeded. You see these assholes in England jumping up and down, screaming about, oh, well, the immigrants and the Pakis and the Indians and all this other bullshit. Okay? Listen, guess what? America is about 4% of the total world's population. Okay? The majority of people on this planet are people of color. So I would think, as a rational human being, that perhaps we need to, come to some kind of modus vivendi with people who are non-white. Now, I understand that people that Turning Point, MAGA, what have you, they might cause them conniptions, but that's the reality, quite frankly. Um, I see, when I look at England, I see these assholes out there in the street crying about immigrants. Listen, there would be no Western civilization if it wasn't for Africa, India, and China. That's history, okay? And perhaps that is the reason why people like in Arkansas and Florida and Alabama and Mississippi don't want people to, actually learn history because that's what it is. Okay. Listen, not to veer off from the political, but hey, every responsible um, anthropologist, historian, so forth and so on, has said that human beings, when they came out of the trees and they stretched up and they said, hey, that's the sky up there with stars and everything, that took place somewhere in Western Kenya. Now, that's not me saying that, okay? That's, reputable scholars like the Leakeys. So, I don't know what to tell you. But this idea about somehow, white Americans have some kind of supremacy, that's not true. And see, the thing that's so disturbing about that is that it doesn't help the average white American. But the danger is that you have people like Trump, like people who are his supporters, who basically try to flame up discontent for political purposes so they can get themselves in power. But the funny thing is, listen, let me ask you something. How many of you working class white folks out there? Now we have ICE running around kidnapping 5-year-olds and all this other good shit. How many of you white working class folks have you seen a pay raise in your pay envelope? No, you haven't. Okay. And I think that maybe it's time for you folks to wake up and stop being played. Now, we have a problem with that in the southern part of the United States, in these so-called red states, where, people, they have no health care, they have no education, they have no infrastructure, yet these people keep voting Republican. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to, constantly run back to the whole racial thing. But what the hell, what the hell else is it? These red hat wearing ignorant bastards are basically destroying the United States. Seriously. So what are we going to do about this, America? I mean, are you satisfied watching ICE kidnap 5-year-olds and use them to try and what was the case here? You wanted to use a 5-year-old to try and bait this kid's dad and mom. Is that what we're about? Are white Americans so afraid of brown people that you know? they're willing to say, okay, let's suspend the Constitution. Let's suspend the American democracy. I mean, it's up to you, quite frankly. Now, me myself, I really have a difficult problem understanding why in the hell any sane human being would vote for a person like Donald Trump. This man, he says, okay, well, I'm going to run the world and I will run it according to my own moral compass. I mean, that sounds nice, but goddamn, this man has no. This guy is a rapist, he's a Peter Tom, and he's a thief. And what also worries me is the fact that he takes top secret classified documents and they're in his freaking bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. And I really want to talk to white working class people, especially in the red states. Okay? Those who have children that are in our military. And I want to ask them, I mean, is this what the hell you voted for? You hated this black Asian woman who was running against Trump. You hated her so much that you trust your daughters, your sons, your husbands, your wives into a man that, as far as you know, has unloaded all of America's top secret documents into people, to people that, quite frankly, they don't give a damn about the United States. And I'm trying to figure it out. This is what racism, this is what the hate is all about. You voted for this guy, Trump, because of the fact that you hate immigrants. Don't lie about it. You know, be honest about it. This is what you want. Okay. And now I see on YouTube all these people crying about, oh, well, we didn't vote for this. Well, goddamn, you voted for a guy that was already a known criminal, a known sexual abuser. He sat up on this clown sat up on Howard Stern and bragged about how when he was running the Miss America pageant, he would go into the dressing rooms just so he can take a peek at the young woman changing their clothes. And this is what you have given the United States. And I'm going to tell you something, quite frankly. I guess I'm really behind the curve. Excuse me. Mm. But I'd be damned if I understand why any American, black, white, or whatever, would ever vote for a man like Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I guess that I'm just totally out of the loop, but I don't understand it. You're talking about a convicted criminal, a sex abuser, okay? And as we have seen in Davos, this man he doesn't have all his marbles together. And I really would like to talk to people who are still supporting this guy, Trump. And I'd love to ask them, do you understand the fact that the president of the United States has a guy or a gal, usually a warrant officer, walking behind him with the nuclear briefcase? Okay? Um, what that means is that Donald Trump, anytime he wants, no matter where he's at, he can decide to launch a thermonuclear war on this planet. Now, that ain't just me talking, okay? I spent half my naval career with, DIA. I have a cosmic top secret security clearance. And this is real. This is real stuff here. And I'm trying to understand what in the hell will make white Americans feel that somehow this guy, Donald Trump, can be trusted with the nuclear code. This is not a game, people. This is real life. Okay. Now I don't know. I'm just here on my computer. I hope I get a shot at one of the studios here in Uganda. But right now, this is it. And I'm trying to understand, have you people not seen any videos, any YouTubes about what happened to Hiroshima or Nagasaki? Okay, after we dropped the atomic bomb on these people. And, what frightens me about the racism and the hate here in the United States is that you folks out there, you MAGA folks, you Republican voters, you would rather trust, and we know this guy is demented. I mean, come on, let's get real here. There's something seriously wrong with Donald Trump. Okay. I saw this back in 2015, and if you want to, you can look at my past videos from 2015. I'm not saying anything that's different. Okay. And I don't think that a lot of Americans understand, just how serious the world is. Now, this is not to be an attack upon America, but goddamn, Americans are very naive. Okay, I've been over a good part of the world, and I will tell you, Americans are very naive. A large part of that is because of the corporate media that we have in this country that is designed to keep people dumb. Right? Why is that? Well, because of the fact that they want to make sure that they keep working class blacks and working class whites at each other's throats. And then you throw in the trans people, the gay people, and what have you. So that's the whole objective, to keep Americans at each other's throats. And we're so busy worrying about who's trans, right? Who who decides to dress up in female garb and what have you? All this bullshit. And meanwhile, these clowns essentially they do what they do. There is no tax money. Um, every other Western European nation, people have health care. People can go to university. But we can't do it here in the United States because, unlike China, and look, please, look, don't attack me with this, okay? I'm an American, all right? I might live overseas, but I'm an American, okay? And the whole thing about law and the Constitution and blah, 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 that's ingrained in me, okay? But that doesn't make me blind, okay? Um, I look at a place like China. No. Would I like to see America adopt the type of government systems that they have in China? No, I wouldn't. But by the same token, I have to admit that it works. What they have in China works for the Chinese people, quite frankly. In America, you have democracy and people are starving. Okay, come on, man. People are starving, they're homeless, da da da, right? Now, do I blame the capitalist system? Uh, yeah, a little, somewhat, but more to the facts, I blame our so called representatives. And if the Democratic Party really wants to understand why people turned against them, it's because of the fact that I said something in the video about a week ago or so. I used the word that I do apologize to women for, but I'm not going to take back what I said. I said that Hakeem Jeffries and the Democratic Party in general were a bunch of pussies. I should not have used that term, okay? Because supposedly we have evolved beyond that. And the thing that upsets me is the fact that Democrats, they don't understand. They keep trying to bring a butter knife to a gunfight. And they don't understand that America is fighting the America that we know about Lincoln and the Gettysburg Address and the Declaration of Independence and all that good shit, right? We're fighting to keep that for real. That's what we're fighting for. And a lot of Democrats, I'm not saying all, because you got some damn good Democrats out there. But in general, in terms of leadership, these people keep thinking that this is politics as usual. This ain't politics, folks. And I don't know what the hell I can do to make Democrats, both elected and those who work in the party machinery, to make them understand this is not politics. This is Bible, okay? Because I guarantee you, if you allow, and I'm not saying all, but if you allow the majority of these Republicans who follow behind Trump like he's a god, if you allow them to have your way, listen, I'm talking to Hakeem Jeffries, I'm talking to, what's his name in the Senate, the Democratic minority leader, folks like that. These people, your opposition, they want to kill you. They want to hang you. Okay? This is not politics. What's his name? Chuck Schumer. Okay? Somebody needs to get an email to Chuck Schumer and tell him he needs to grow a pair of balls. Because his Republican opposition, they're not playing politics. They're playing with your life. And I don't think that a lot of Democrats understand that. You know who understands that? Mark Kelly. That's why if I support anyone, what is it, 26? If I support anyone next year, it would be Mark Kelly. Because he understands what the hell is going on. And unfortunately, a lot of Democrats, they don't get it. Okay? These Trump people, these MAGA people, they want to kill you. If they manage to take over the whole government, I guarantee you, you will be sitting in the House of Representatives on trial for your life. And you won't even know why. And see, this is the thing that really bothers me about so-called moderate Democrats. Okay? America is fighting for its life. Our democracy, our constitution, our institutions in terms of law and order, They're all on the table. They're all fighting for their life. And a lot of them, these moderate Democrats, they don't seem to get it. And see, that's why I really don't have too much use for moderate Democrats, quite frankly. How do you tell and one of these ICE, one of these non-educated ICE agents, right? How do you tell them, listen, you cannot beat a pregnant woman into the ground, okay? How do you tell them that moderately? Okay, there's a time for moderation. There is a time to set your hair on fire and go out there swinging. And I really fear that a lot of Democrats, they don't seem to understand that. This is not, this is not a freaking game. We're fighting for our lives here. And I would say that people like Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, what's his name in Jersey, Booker, people like that, right? If you allow these Republicans to essentially take over the government, I mean, totally, right? FBI, DOJ, the what do you call it? The federal justices and what have you. If you allow them to, if you allow these MAGA clowns to take over the whole thing, I'm serious. How long do you think that you would last? Seriously, these people want to kill you. All right, they wish to hang you. Now you saw what they, tried to do. The Mark, what's his name, Pence, Trump's vice president. Think about that. They were willing to kill the vice president of the United States. Now people like Booker, okay, black guy. What's his name? Schumer, Jew, right? Uh, what the hell do you think they would do to you? Seriously, if you don't stand up to these people. And what I'm trying to get people to understand, this is a life and death struggle. Okay? This is not my dad and mom's Republican Party. That was back in the late 50s and early 60s. This is not that Republican Party. You are dealing with a whole, what's the proper phrase? Neo-Nazi, embryonic Nazi party, as you saw in Charlottesville in 2017. And it's time for the Democratic Party to wake up and realize that. And I would say this, please, if you are a Democrat office holder and you are not willing to spill blood, then you need to get the hell out of Congress. Okay? I mean, I'm sorry. Okay? But these Republicans, these right wingers, and for the most part, this is what they believe. Okay? They believe that uh, Democrats are insects that are meant to be squashed. You cannot compromise with these people, whether you win or you lose. Okay? Now, fortunately, the majority of the American people think that MAGA people are assholes. That's a good thing. But when they look upon the Democratic Party, they're wondering, what the hell are the Democrats going to do? Are going to stand up? It's just like this whole thing recently with the budget. I'm trying to understand how can any Democrat sign off on a budget that does not, at the very least, put a leash upon ICE. I don't get that. And quite frankly, any Democrats that went along with this bullshit, they need to be primary because people are dying out there under the hands of ICE. And, Democrats need to stand up. And if the Democratic Party wants to understand why people, brown people, black people, why they walked away in what the hell was that? In 2020, it's because of the fact that you basically, word out on the street is that you're all a bunch of punks. And that you are so busy worrying about taking money from your donors that you have forgotten what what your constituents need. Now, I mean, you can, throw rocks at me and yell and scream at me all the hell you want. But I'm just telling you like it is. Okay? Now, even though I don't live in America anymore, I'm still an American. I'm still a registered voter. And I don't want to see the United States go down to the seventh level of hell. So I think it's time for the Democrats to actually stand up. Seriously. Time to stand up, right? Men and women, and get some what do you call it, testosterone shots and fight for your constituents. It's not, it's not hard, it's not difficult, right? Either you believe and that your job, the oath that you took, is about standing up for your constituents or it's not. Very simple. People try to make things complicated that are very, very simple. American democracy is hanging by a thread. And I would say to all Democrats and those few Republicans of conscience that are left, you have to ask yourself, what the hell do you want to do? Are you going to stand up for your constituents? Or are you going to stand up for Donald Trump and his corporate demons? It's just that simple, quite frankly. It's not, it ain't really complicated. Okay, it's for real. Democrats, what the hell are you going to do? Period. Listen, I know this is shorter than I usually get into, but I want people to think about what I have to say. So listen, be woke, be good, read, pay attention to what's happening around you. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. May the Creator bless you. Peace. I'll catch you next time on the rebound.